also find them in groups, and we normally find them in groups where there's a lot of food or they're coming together for slightly social reasons. So different feeding behaviors can be experienced in different ways. You might find them right at the surface of the water, where they're trying to get a lot of that plankton, where it's normally concentrated. But they also sometimes use each other and help each other out to feed as well. An example of that is that piggyback feeding, following each other in line, trying to capture what one manta may have not eaten. We sometimes see the barrel rolling as well, and this is a very unique learned behavior. And then occasionally we see them in massive groups as well, which is really awesome to experience. So just to show you a little video here, this is what a manta looks like when it's feeding at the surface. See, very graceful, cruising along there. And then we also have our somersault feeding, which you can see is a unique behavior that they learn to try to concentrate their food in one small area and save energy at the same time. Kind of like maybe you like to get a takeaway at the weekend, you don't want to move too much, you want to get a lot of food. That's an example of a manta ray's somersault feeding there. And then just over here, sometimes we can see massive events of them, maybe 20, 50, even hundreds of manta rays all feeding together when just the right time comes about in the ocean too. And then when a manta ray isn't feeding, they actually need to clean too, but they don't have hands like we do. So they visit these special places we call cleaning stations. And these are areas under the water where you find these unique fish we call cleaner fish that will be stationed around, and they will come along to these large animals like the manta rays to come and pick up any leftover food, plankton, bacteria. So these guys get a nice food out of that, and then the mantas get a nice clean. And this is really important because manta rays do have a predator in the ocean. This would be something like big sharks. So if you've ever heard of tiger sharks, hammerheads, threshers with a long tail, and even some large cetaceans. So maybe you've heard of an orca or a killer whale. These are the kind of animals that would be hunting a manta ray. And as you can see in this picture over here, this manta's had a big chunk taken out of the back of it from a bite of a shark. But with the help of these cleaner fish and visiting these cleaning stations, they can heal that area and actually regrow it again. So this is really unique. Not every animal in the ocean can do this. It's incredibly important. But unfortunately, there are some other threats to manta rays that we are facing in our modern day, and that is a lot down to human activity or indirectly related from human activity too. So in some parts of the world, mantas are being fished for a very small part of them. And this is actually the gills. So if you remember those organs that they're using to breathe and using to feed as well. And that's because in some parts of the world they're used as a delicacy, similar to maybe you've heard of the shark fin trade as well, where sharks are being fished for their fins, but then not for the rest of the animal. And that's what we're facing with the manta rays over here. They're being fished for a very small part of them, and then the rest of the manta is not necessarily required or used. In other parts of the world, we do also unfortunately have entanglements happening. So leftover fishing gear that gets swept with currents, or ocean plastic pollution as well that comes in, mantas can get trapped and entangled. So in terms of the research that we do, we are collecting information about the mantas themselves, but also the environment that we experience in them. Why are they moving where they're moving, and how can we find out who is who too? And we do a lot of this research through photographic data and identification. And what I mean by that is we're essentially taking a picture of the manta's belly, because as we discussed earlier, they have these unique spot patterns that will never change across their life. So what we do is we compare this between databases, and then we can study where the mantas are moving without having to tag them, but just through this puzzle piece of where we're spotting certain individuals in different areas. So just to show you a very small snippet of our population in the Maldives, you can see all these guys here. They have different spot patterns on their bellies. They even have different charismatic characteristics too, different behaviors you can sort of experience between individuals. And since 2005, when we first started researching them here in the Maldives, we found just shy of 5,700 different individuals of manta rays. So that's a very small snippet into the work that we're doing, and I hope you learned something interesting about manta rays today. Thank you so much for joining, and have a fantastic day.